bring in international news editor Sophie Mokoena. She joins us now live. Good evening, Sophie. So the IEC has briefed us extensively on their state of readiness for the expat vote. Voting in 9 countries started today. Polling stations actually closed just now at 7 p.m. as per their statement that it would close at 7 p.m. Just talk us through today's votes.
Well, clearly the focus was in the Middle East, countries such as Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and particularly perhaps of interest Palestine. As you know that there's a conflict raging on in Gaza, but at Ramallah today those who are registered had an opportunity to go and cast their ballots. And therefore, voting has started in the Middle East, and it has ended in the Middle East. But you had a challenge in some countries, particularly countries such as the United Kingdom, where this morning South Africans arrived at the mission, and they were allowed to vote because it looks like when there was a communication, they were told that special votes will be today, and of course the real voting for the rest of those who have registered, as you know that this is the biggest polling station, will start tomorrow at the South Africa House, that is the Consul General's offices in London at Trafalgar Square. You had a similar problem in the United States of America. I've just spoken to Shawan Bryce-Peace, who is at the United Nations headquarters doing a story on ICJ. He now has to dash to the SA mission to go and cover that story because he just got an information that voting has started at the mission in New York, and therefore he is going to be there, but he will share more details at 9 p.m. tonight on our sister show, that is the late edition, because he will also be voting there today.
And then the cordoning off, because we saw that there was a request to cordon off Trafalgar Square because of the numbers, at least for London, even though now it's already started, it seems.
Well, I think this one was aimed at tomorrow because that's where they are expecting large numbers. And therefore, if you have people who are supposed to vote at a voting station and you have 24,000 voters registered at one polling station, you can imagine if they turn up, or perhaps 60% of those who have registered do come and cast their ballots, you have to expect a huge turnout and large numbers, and therefore you must be ready for a long queue, or perhaps double what you would normally do. And therefore you have to ask permission from the authorities to allow voters to be able to be in a queue on the pavements, and therefore you better ask permission so that they can assist with security and ensuring that they are allowed, the voters, to be on the pavements, and that will affect the flow of movement by ordinary people in the United Kingdom, in London in this case. And this is significant because we are all looking forward to see what's going to happen tomorrow morning in London, because this is a very historic site. You know that SA House, previously under apartheid regime, many people used to go there and protest outside that house, calling for the isolation of the apartheid regime. And 30 years on, we are told that this is going to be the biggest polling station, including the ones in South Africa. Normally there's Berea that has got more people, but we are told that this time around it is London. And therefore it speaks to perhaps, you know, history coincident to say 30 years on, as the country celebrates 30 years of democracy, you will see this image, and this image reminds us of where we come from in terms of those protests outside that house under the apartheid regime.
Quite significant indeed that the message arrived to those living in the UK that it's time to make their mark. But beyond this, it's 111 missions where they'll be voting, 9 today, 102 tomorrow. Which other ones are significant for tomorrow?
For me, it's London, it's New York, it's Washington, and also on the continent. And fortunately, we will have our colleagues in some of these polling stations. For example, we'll have someone in Hong Kong who will give us a report early in the morning on Morning Live. We will have a reporter in Moscow. We will have a reporter in London. We will also have the team in New York. And also on the continent, we'll have a team in Nigeria, in Uganda, in Tanzania, and of course our colleague in Zimbabwe and Lesotho will also send us visuals of people who will go and cast their ballots. And therefore, we are hoping that tomorrow it will be a comprehensive coverage of this story when Asia, Europe, Americas, and Africa will be going to the polls. I'm talking about South Africans who are in those countries that have been identified.
Sophie, as always, lovely to have you with us. Thank you very much for that reportage. That's SABC News International News Editor Sophie Mokoena speaking to us.